Oh, yeah, this one works. Great. Thank you so much for showing up. When I got in here, I showed you this trick that I opened Netcrafts 4 years ago. It's beautiful for peeling garlic. Just put in garlic and shake it around, and all the wooden stuff around the garlic is gone. Welcome to the 99 very legal Netcrafts tips. It's taken from a book that's called 1,000 Legal Rules of Tricking Your Taxes. But if you don't have a coffee table book and if you don't have a TV show, you're probably never going to get rich. But maybe anybody got connections to coffee table book publishers, get in touch with me. It's a beautiful job. I wanted to say beforehand, we're only doing legal things. We're not showing anything illegal that could be of means. And I thank very much to the Republica for being invited. My show is called Netcrafts. It plays on Deutschlandfunk Nova, and my central thesis is that without the net, none of this would be possible. Every second Sunday, there's a podcast, and I very much thank the responsible people at the German broadcasting radio station that allow me to do this. And I wanted to share a few things here. Shop. It's a bit of a mix between a little workshop and a radio station. And this is the website where you can find and listen to previous shows. There's a spotcast on Spotify. These are the 97 episodes. And most people ask me when I talk about the show, what? A craft show on the radio? That's kind of stupid and silly, but that's not really silly. I kind of see this as a cooking show. You're cooking. You're not really cooking or drinking while you're watching this, but you feel entertained on the one hand, and you learn tricks that you could apply later on, and you get a taste for it, and you get a bit of an idea, and it gives you... It inspires you, and it gives you the crazy stuff that you can get nerdy about. This is the Amazon Dash button. Maybe you know it. And it also explains how a show on the radio works beautifully on the radio. That's the button that we built. Well, we took apart the Dash button. It's pretty hard to hack this button. I wanted to use it to do something else. I wanted to use it so that it faxes something by the push of the button. So what I did was I built my own button and did some things that could be started by a push of this button. Oh, there's no audio. Oh, okay. There's audio. I don't know if you can hear it. Brrr, a bell's ringing with a bit of a time delay. That's Sebastian, my colleague, my sparring partner in Cologne, who has even less of an idea than me. But that's really beautiful for the listeners because it forces us to explain stuff really easy. And with the bell, we had a situation that Sebastian was in Cologne, I was in Berlin, and he, from the distance, could make the button ring, and then we opened it to be pushed via a website, and audience could push the button, and that's what it sounded like. So we're hearing the audio recording where they're telling their audience how to access the button, and now they're waiting for the audience to push the button. Oh, there we go. Oh, first button push. Wasn't me. Oh, but it wasn't me. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's fantastic. This goes really quickly. Our listeners are there. Netcrafts.de/ringing the bell. When you push it, when you access the page, yeah, and so on and so forth. It was kind of funny. It lasted for about half an hour, 20 minutes, and it didn't stop ringing, and we couldn't stop laughing. And in the end of it, it was a bit like a Brechtian radio moment. Radio needs this kind of back channel, and it really worked quite physically in this context, and kind of combining the physical and the digital. And this is what I find so fascinating. This is such a beautiful thing from the internet that explains the crafts world. When something moves, but it shouldn't, then you should only use gaffer tape, duct tape. There's a lot that you can learn from crafts. such as Instructables, Thingiverse, or Hackaday, that also wrote about the Internet Bell. I have the people that inspired me. There's Simone Geertz from the US. At top, there's the people from Heise Publisher who do the Make magazine. On the right-hand side, Finn Kliman and Alan Bata, the media artist who has beautiful ideas. One very, very big example is forums on the internet, like the Hammock Forum, and that's only the DIY corner of the Hammock Forum. I consulted that when I did my show on the hammocks, and they have 190,000 posts in the DIY departments. There's so much knowledge in that forums, and that's one of the wisdoms for DIY forums. Please study all of them and read all of these opinions, but do not trust one single one alone. Other good examples of sources are the Make magazine, and they also do the Make Affair that happens next year in Berlin at the FEZ from the 25th to the 27th of May. They're kind of a center of the maker culture, where there's that's kind of bubbling up all over the world. It's kind of like a modern crafts, a hardware store 3.0. Conrad has the Arduino now, where you can do easy programming, and there's the Raspberry Pi. That's the thing on the red package on the right. The more expensive ones are even only 35 euros, so it's quite affordable, and it's really inspiring, and you can do great things. But more exciting is this chip, and it's going to be a part of this talk a lot more, the ESP8266. Super fascinating. It was part of the Internet Bell. It comes in all shapes, ways, of forms, and if you order it from China, you get it for €1.60, and you can program it basically like an Arduino. Super simple, but it's got Wi-Fi built in for €1.60. You can do a lot of crazy things with it, and this is a small story. I met John Perry Barlow for searching the internet. He was one of the friends of Kennedy's, and he was friends to the band The Grateful Dead, and he built up the Great Frontier, and he wrote the Declaration of Independence for the internet, and the ESP. I programmed this little chip when he passed away, so that this small ESP 8266 would open up all the statements of the independence declaration, and that was kind of my legacy to him and paying tribute to him. So this ESP is at the heart of, for me, at the maker community, the 3D computers, printers, the CNC lasers, and the third most important thing that is now available are laser cutters. You might know Bernd Wandt from the Hamburg cult band Fractals that have been around since the 80s. They have a commercial where they introduce the new Fractals banana saw, just slide it across the top tip, and it peels almost by itself. You should order it right away under the free phone number. So Bernd Wandt produced this banana saw. It's really like it's there with copyright, and it was obviously for me made me want to steal it and pirate it and make it at the Fab Lab by myself and produce it in a mass way. And in the end, I mean, my business really grew, and because Bernd Wandt caught attention to it, and we started a really big business with it into the banana saws, and there was about 300 of them that were sold. Quite beautiful boxes they came in. Another object that is circling around the world massively is pallets. And there's some Euro pallets. I mean, they're such a beautiful thing. They're always 1 meter 20 times 80 centimeter. You can build a hell lot of stuff on it. They don't really cost that much, 15 euros when you buy them. And we just had a big order of them. And I know like all these like warehouses that back in the day used to address like these kind of fathers of two are now kind of addressing this trend and like trying to get new client bases. So I kind of read this really cool text from an architecture critic that says the gentrified palette is a new Biedermeier style in the half public space that is such a real pragmatism. The palette kind of went from subcultural product to becoming an actual consumable product to be sold. And it's this caused for pallets to all of a sudden be sold at half, a double price, but already painted. And that's when I asked myself, DIY? So basically you can build a hell lot out of pallets, like tables. And so I thought to myself, I'll just do it the other way around. I just bought a table on eBay, and that's Ingo. So that was the step in between. And that's Ingo now. Yeah, exactly. There is two things that I want to say about this. I took the idea from the internet, and the people didn't really do it. I mean, this idea came from Reddit. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I take from the internet, like that the internet is further than I am and the other, and that's quite sad. It's quite a sad thing. Ingo is missing. Ingo, like yesterday, I brought it to the stand of Deutschlandfunk Nova, and Ingo was standing there, and I wanted to take him on stage with me, but someone took Ingo or stole him. And so if you've seen him, you can see him. You can recognize him by the pieces on the side and the writing on the side. That's not with normal pallets. Don't have that. Like, it's kind of funny. I would have loved to imagine this and come up with this by myself, but it's true. Ingo's gone, and maybe somebody only brought him into storage. So if you do see him, please get in touch with me. 1.20 meter times 80, made from oak on the outside. All right, so let's go from the aspect of the importance of the internet and get to the crafts part of the section.
I wanted to put this to centrifuge an egg. We have an electric drill, and you can just centrifuge it. And this is Resi from Netcraft's competence team. It's an old stocking, and then you can just centrifuge it, and what's the outcome is that, and we built an egg bot. This is an open source thing from the internet. It can paint Easter eggs, and the egg with the barcode of an Easter egg painting book is not to buy. What you can do if your knife is not sharp anymore, you can use the bottom of a cup to do it. And there's the tomato test with the knife freaks, so they just check how sharp the knife is with slicing tomatoes. This is yogurt. You can do it by yourself. That's originating in the 70s or even earlier. You can build temperature-driven heating plate. And this is a Raspberry Pi in there, and this is vacuum cooking. You just vacuum, put food in a bag and vacuum it, and then put it in a thing, and you cook it inside there. And I just calculated the time wrong, and then it wasn't tasty anymore. It's really gross to do that in the kitchen, because the kitchen sink sponge is really filled with germs. So okay, so that's why you should take the water from the toilet and to grow your.
All right, so basically you can grow your sprouts in your bathroom connected to your toilet. Another project that's quite practical is you take your your camper van and you put the spurgis onto your motor, you probably need an hour and a half or 2 hours. Like diesel motors don't get that warm. But then after that, you have beautiful, almost sous vide cooked asparagus made on a car motor. Good things are also to make your own mata. The people that are offering that are right over there, and they sell all sorts of stuff with relation to mata. All you have to do is kind of soak mata all night long. What didn't really work after was adding sparkle to it, so I don't recommend doing that. Another thing that fascinated me is like what other people come with, like video canvases, like video screens, like all these like home cinema, home theaters freaks who found one trick. You need one satin neutral gray, and then you need the small jar that's on the floor right there. It's like this kind of color that you use for car painting. And then when you put that on the canvas that you use for projection, you can see how much more beautiful it is. And like you can compare like the square in the middle that's like a white paper, and the other stuff is when you've colored it. Like this kind of car paint is what is used and should be used. It's a lot better. Another thing I learned from the internet, another project, almost heart project of the hacker community, is a cap with a remote that turns off all televisions from 50 meters far away, anywhere, doesn't matter which one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't come up with this. Mitch Oldman invented that about 10 years ago, probably. Super great guy, hacker from San Francisco. Really worked beautifully. This was 4 years ago at the World Cup. There was only like it wasn't even quarterfinals. It was the round before that. It was quite embarrassing for the people who were showing who put the TV there. So false, you have to leave the country really quickly because of it. There's another tip. With this Japanese trick, you can fold them really quickly. And to be honest, like this is not really that easily explained on the radio. And it's much better when you watch the GIF. I've got to search 3 more times, and then you've probably remembered this. All right. But so when everything has to go into suitcase, you do more of this stuff. So like anybody who's traveling a lot, that's how they do it. Stewards, stewardesses, that's what they share on the internet. Best tricks everywhere around. And that's how I tried to figure out how to fit the most clothes into a suitcase. And now you probably want to leave and your car isn't starting because the battery is dead or something like that. There's also a trick. And the Lupo is running. It really works when you use, I'm more on smaller cars, but it works. Not so good on diesel cars because they have such a big, I don't, put in the second gear. Pay attention that it doesn't just drive when you're standing in front of it, but it worked beautifully. Yeah, so we talked a lot about car batteries that day. This is also an exciting project. It's a sensor for small dust particles, and so they came up with this thing of measuring it because they realized around the city there wasn't enough measuring of it. So the thing that's interesting is they were measuring the stuff that actually gets into your lungs, and the old ways of measuring it don't really take that into account. So you can buy this kind of thing for 30 euros, and you can build it. This is a Chinese sensor for measuring the degree of dust in the air, of miniature dust. So we did that in Berlin and kind of mapped it out. There's also the Wi-Fi chip that I was talking about earlier that then pumps all the information online, and then we generate these like beautiful maps where you can like kind of see how the sensors are doing, and I think this is a beautiful citizen science project that delivers beautiful measurements and data. And so if the dust gets too bad, I recommend these like nose showers for winter. But what works really well is the electric one. So what you need is an isotonic salt solution. You can mix it yourself. You can buy it from the pharmacy. It works beautifully while talking on the radio. It works brilliantly. You feel really great afterwards. What you can also build with this, you might know, this is a hack they come up from the net. You can basically build your own little lamp. And it also takes the heat that then goes into the convection warmth, goes up into the thing, and then it's transformed into a heat that is experienced as rather warm. But be careful. Candles also generate a lot of small dust, so maybe air out your heaters every once in a while. Like building up structures that will hold your bikes in the apartment. If your light doesn't work on your bike, it's usually because the cable isn't connected anymore, or maybe there's contacts that are gone. If your
fender's loose, then you can use cable holders, and they are really useful if you want to put a new tire on your wheel. You can use this cable holder to put it on there, and then the new wheel is not slipping off again. If you start into the spring now and your bike chain is dirty, you can use that. WD-40 is not really useful for that, just for the cleaning, but not for oiling it. And what you can build from bicycles as well is this complicated looking thing. It took me months to build it, and it's a heliostat. It's a mirror that redirects the sun towards my window, and it knows the time and where the sun is, and it can then reflect using the turned upside down bike fork on both axes, and it's really annoying if the sun is really shining to your window all the time on your eye level. Real practical is that thing. It's some kind of fabric costing €7. It needs to be a few centimeters thick, and that's an easy trick. And now we're back to the hammock forum. You can build hammocks out of that, and it's a thing you need to learn on YouTube videos, and you can search for that on netcraft.de, and you can build a real cool hammock out of that. The upper one is from a special fabric. That's the knot is the same, but the fabric is a bit more expensive. There are freaks that are ordering special fabric from the US. That's things that are really possible by the internet, using the internet right now. That there's knowledge shared, but also ordering stuff from the US. This is tomato seeds that are open source. You can order them from some professors, and the seed market is interesting. I know a chili freak. He has 60 different types of chili on his balcony, and it's a really, really healthy, active netcraft culture. And the tomatoes grow really, really well in a egg box. Now let's come to more visionary projects that I want to do at some time in the future. This is a prototype. It's an IoT toilet brush, and you need to see that, and it's on top of that there's a methane sensor, and a microphone should be in there as well, and if the gases or sound is emitted, then this brush is going to Wi-Fi and is alerting everyone and checking using cameras if the cleaning is done properly, and there's real big potential for startup, I think. Yeah. And this is the last thing, this is one of the projects that really fascinates me currently. It's a cool open source project. It was funded using Quickstarter. It's a CNC drill, and they want to have this for third world countries and catastrophic relief, and it's basically cutting out of these board of wood furnitures, and these furniture parts you can download from the internet. And Musload CNC, it's one of the coolest open source projects and a cool community, and I'm often there on their website, and I'm currently building my own CNC drill there. And it's really cool that out of this internet things, something analog is created and that you can actually touch. And we built this furniture parts, and it's exact to 0.4 millimeters, and it's totally enough, and it doesn't look like much, but in the end there will be a cool table, and you can download these furnitures at OpenDesk, and I'm really fascinated by that. If you want to hear more of these projects and how the project with the CNC drill went, you can go to Netzbasteln.de or to I really want to thank my team and all these internet forums and all the people that are dealing and giving their knowledge into the net. And I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you.